Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be doing a One Piece power scaling tier list. Um, Now not the entire tier list, obviously, because that would take hours. Uh, um, I mean, generally I probably could, but I got other things I gotta do today. And this could take all day. So, yeah. But what I wanted to do today was just do and just, like I kind of want to do this. I do want to do this entire tier list, but I want to do it like arc by arc. So I want to do a video on each arc. Like the first arc should be East Blue, and then we'll get to like more like sagas really. Do it to Alabasta, and then Skypiea, and then Water 7 and East Lobby, Thriller Bark, the Marineford saga. So I did everything from Sabaody up to Marineford. Then I got Fishman Island, Punk Capture, Dressrosa, so on and so forth. That's what I kind of want to do. So you see, I have a bunch of different forms of the Straw Hats according to arcs and stuff. Um, and then I have just a bunch of other characters in order from when they appear in the story, like the first appearance. So there's a bunch of characters on this list that we will go over. Probably some minor characters that you probably might not even remember the name of on here. But yeah, it's a lot. I'm currently actually on a rewatch of One Piece, and I'm currently still adding characters to this tier list. So there'll probably be even more characters by time we get to like by time I'm finished. But for right now, I think at least the pre-time skip, I have all the characters that I want. So yeah, I wanted to do the East Blue first. But before we get into actually talking about the characters that we're about to get into, we gotta do a few things first. Like we're gonna go over. Since this is the first video, I kind of want to go over my tier list, like instead of the structure that I have it here. I talk about what like the tiers mean. Since it's the first video in this kind of series, I guess. So yeah. So let's get into that first. So at the bottom tier, we have Civilian. This is basically just like characters that really aren't fighters. And they're just kind of like normal people. You know, your average day-to-day One Piece civilian. Not a pirate, not a marine, not a revolutionary, not a bounty hunter, not really anything. They're just a random guy, woman, girl, boy, just a random kid. So I feel like if you're gonna scale the whole One Piece world, you definitely need a tier like this because there are named characters that are definitely fit into this tier. Yeah, and then low rookie to like rookie plus. Now, One Piece is a weird thing because it doesn't have like a lot of hard like tiering like structures that you can name your tiers based off of. Like, for instance, Naruto has like its Genin, Chunin, Jonin system, and then Kage and stuff like that, right? That you can kind of tier or make a tier list based off of that. But One Piece is a little different. One Piece doesn't really have that almost at all. So all of this stuff is just kind of made up bullshit. But it makes sense to me, and so I'll explain why it makes sense. So low rookie to rookie plus is just rookie pirates, basically. There's a lot of talk, especially in early One Piece, of just like rookies and stuff. If you look at like the Jaya arc, Bellamy is like propped up to be like this really big shot rookie, right? And like the Supernovas are like, look at all these insane rookies. Like they're like insanely strong. Like rookie pirates is a thing that's talked about a lot. Is it like a concrete level of strength in One Piece? Not really, but like that's where I just got the name of these tiers from. So any characters in this tier are like basically beginner pirates, basically in my head. Like this is where beginner pirates, weaker pirates, you know, pirates that aren't really that strong, kind of come into these tiers. Then we have above those, we have CP9 and CP9 Plus. Now, I have CP9 here. This is basically pretty self-explanatory. It's just where the CP9 members are gonna go. This is where they kind of range from. If you I've seen One Piece, which I'm sure people who are watching this video have seen One Piece. This there is something called Doriki power levels, which I'm not going to really use too much to scale, but I can base at least a CP9 scaling off of them. And there's a wide they kind of fall into a wide range of powers. Like Rob Lucci's at a 4,000 compared to even his second and third strongest only being around like 2,100, 2,200. So he's almost double them, and then the rest of them don't even crack 1,000. So there's definitely like they don't really fall in the same tier, obviously. There's like a CP9 and then a CP9 Plus for its stronger members. So that's kind of how I have based on these tiers. And anyone that falls into those tiers can, I think, can fight a CP9 member. And anyone who falls in CP9 Plus can probably fight like Chopper, Kaku, maybe even Rob Lucci. And so yeah. Then above that CP9 Plus, we have New World Captain. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really. This is the tier I have my own tier of doing this. I have my own tier list right now that I'm working on as I go do One Piece. This tier I kind of had to make up because I had this whole setup from the beginning. I had to set up like this, except for this tier. This tier really, kind of I had to make it because I think characters were too clustered into like CP9 Plus and then low executive. Like I think it was too big of a jump, right? Between those two tiers. So yeah, it's really, but I didn't really know what to call it. Like I've read around with some names like Supernova Plus or like other things like that. I was just gonna call it like a Pacifista level, but I think New World Captain, trying to stick to like pirates and stuff, I think it works. Especially the characters that will fall into that tier that we'll get into much later in another video. So yeah, New World Captain, sure. That is the one list name that I think you could change to anything. It's just a kind of tier where characters aren't strong enough to fit into any of these tiers, but definitely stronger than these characters. So they kind of have to fit into this undescribed tier. Now here is where we get to like mostly post time skip characters or strength, and post time skip you can kind of base character strengths off of what like the young, because in One Piece a lot of factions and like crews and stuff kind of tier, like their hierarchies are based on strength most of the time, right? Most of the time. There's a few exceptions, but most of the time crews or stuff like that is their hierarchies are based on strength. This is especially apparent with Yonko crews, and that's where this whole from first commander to low executive came from. Basically, this range is like your executive, your generals in Yonko commanders would range from like low executive to executive plus. You can honestly change these tiers to be called Tobiropo, because a lot of the Tobiropo would be falling into these tiers. So yeah, that's basically what these mean. So yeah, if you know One Piece, you've seen Wano, you know the Tobiropo. This is basically Tobiropo level. Imagine this whole range is just the Tobiropo, and like your three generals from Big Mom's crew, like Oven and stuff, would also fall into these tiers, right? Then you got your low commander to first commander. If anyone's seen One Piece, as actually plus time for One Piece, this makes sense. It's just your commander level characters that are really commanders of Yonkos, your Jacks, Queens, Kings, Katakuris, you know, um, Sugar, um, and characters like that. Your commanders of your Yonkos, your Marcos, your Jozu, your Vista, you know, that's where they would go. And commander tier. Now we have low admiral to admiral, obviously admiral level characters, pretty self-explanatory. Yonko, you know, again, pretty self-explanatory. Yonko tier characters, your Big Mom, your Kaido, you know. Now you get your Pirate King. Pirate King, is, you know, Roger and stuff like that. Probably Prime Whitebeard, Prime Garb, you know, characters like that. To be honest, though, with how One Piece is going right now, we'll get into it maybe later, but I honestly might make it even a tier above that. Honestly, think I probably should, because characters that we'll probably get into much later in One Piece, once we actually like Joy Boy and stuff like that, I think, and Emu, Joy Boy, and like those legacy Void Century characters just seem so absurdly powerful. We never really seen anything like it in One Piece, I think. So I think they'll probably step beyond even Garb, Roger, Rocks, and stuff like that. So yeah, I probably shouldn't even make another tier above that, maybe even two, because current One Piece, I think the scaling right now is looking like it's setting up to be really insane. So yeah. So yeah, that is the tier list right now that we have of the whole entire One Piece world. So now we can actually get into it. Now, again, I'm going to be doing the East Blue Saga to start off with all of the East Blue characters. I'm going to be going in order. So I'm going to be starting with just Luffy, because he's kind of a base of kind of like a thing that we can kind of scale things off of. So yeah, all right. So first up, we have Kid Luffy. Obviously, Kid Luffy. This is even Kid Luffy before training, meeting Ace. This is Luffy meeting Ace and stuff, which we won't list for right now. We'll list in the post Marineford saga. But yeah, this Luffy simply is just a civilian tier. He hasn't really done any training. He ate the Gum Gum fruit, but again, the Gum Gum fruit was really trash in the beginning. It was kind of garbage. So it doesn't really, it's not going to really give him much benefit other than he can't get hurt by a punch. But he can still get stabbed, kind of thrown into the ocean. He's really not strong at all. He's going to defeat Higuma, the fucking bandit captain, you know, and he's trash. So, yeah, again, civilian tier. He's a kid. Beginning of series Luffy is kind of what I imagine to be. He is kind of like the top of Rookie Plus to me. He's coming out of training already being a pretty strong pirate. The kind of way I see a lot of One Piece in my mind, and how I think kind of Oda sees it, and how characters get stronger over time, is almost like an RPG. Because like characters get into high difficult like fights, and after they win, they get stronger. And characters even like statements like Zoro and Islami says that we've been getting stronger from the island to island, right? It's like they've been leveling up in my mind. So I think Luffy coming out of like training on what's the island called, Dawn Island or something, the Go Kingdom, training there for 10 years to then becoming a pirate. It's kind of like he came out over leveled, and that's why he was able to come out into East Blue, or like even the entire time skip almost being like this force of nature, just kind of running through everyone. It's because he trained for so long. He kind of earned that level. He didn't start right away. He trained and became really strong. So he was able to kind of run through the pre-time skip like how he was able to. You know, not taking things safe and kind of just running around, beating the shit out of people, overthrowing people's plans and stuff. You know, he wouldn't be able to do that if he just went and became a pirate immediately. Yeah. kind of something we see similarly with the pre-time or the post-time skip. You know, they took 2 years to train so they could continue being pirates like that, continue pirating the way they have been all pre-time skip, going around and being super reckless. But yeah, so Ricky Plus, this is where Luffy starts. Now we have Zoro, where he started. Also, obviously, same tier, Ricky Plus. I think before they come, it's pretty. I think in the early One Piece, I think Zoro and Luffy are very, very close in strength, and I think to that aspect we can even add Sanji to this, to these three, obviously making up the monster trio. I think starting off in the East Blue, and kind of for the entire time skip, I mean pre-time skip, they are at their closest, closest in strength. I think, especially honestly in the start, I think this is where they are. At least the three of them together are probably this is where they are the closest at any point in the series. I think, they are just like almost equivalent to each other. I would honestly say, except for maybe like Luffy and Sanji. I think Luffy definitely small little gap between Sanji, but like and Zoro fits like right into the middle of that. But yeah, these three are just monsters. These three are definitely Rookie Plus. Then we get to Nami. Nami is definitely civilian tier, at least at the beginning. Doesn't really have any notable combat feats, much. She can kind of scrap with like fodder pirates. She honestly can kind of beat most fodder pirates on her own. There's scenes of her like pulling on her staff and beating up a bunch of like fodder marines really quickly. But again, those are like civilian level characters, and again, she's like the top civilian level, but like again, she doesn't really have any notable combat feats. She's kind of just a sneaky thief who doesn't really fight and just kind of sneaks around stealing gold, and that's her main goal. And the East Blue is to just get gold for how long to pay off the village. But again, doesn't really have a fight, so doesn't really win against any character. Doesn't have any weapon yet. Doesn't have the climate attack yet. So again, it's just kind of base Nami, and again, base Nami is just kind of like a peak athletic, kind of athletic human, just a normal woman. So yeah, definitely not at the level of like Luffy, Zoro, Sanji yet, in kind of monstrous power. And then we get to Usopp. Usopp is also just kind of a normal person. But the thing with Usopp is that Usopp at least has a weapon to fight. And Usopp also has a fight in the East Blue against 2, which he wins. So at the very least, he had like his slingshot lets him shoot bombs and stuff, and like exploding stars and stuff, which I think, that against a normal person, a normal person is gonna get really fucking injured from an exploding star hitting them and stuff like that. So I think Usopp at this point, because of his slingshot and the weapons he has, at least could go above Nami into low rookie tier. He's just like kind of 1 tier above Nami at this point, but still nowhere near Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji. He was kind of like, he obviously most of the East Blue was kind of in awe of how strong they were, how kind of monsters they were. So yeah, it couldn't really stand up against a lot of characters that they could stand up against, like Kuro and stuff like that. So, but because of his slingshot, he's not just a normal civilian tier. Because Usopp normally would be in that tier, probably even weaker than Nami. But with his slingshot, it gives him, he has a weapon he can fight with, and he has explosions and stuff. So at the very least, he is an actual combatant, like Nami at this point in the series. So yeah, low key level. now that is all the East Blue Straw Hats we have at this point, so we're now going to be getting into um, our other characters, our side characters. First up, we have Shanks. This is Shanks 10 years ago, um, in the East Blue, for the flashback at the beginning, right at the beginning of the story with Luffy, with this kid Luffy. Interestingly enough, we kind of have to jump to current events in the manga now to talk about this Shanks. So spoilers for that, um, which is really funny. But we're in a flashback right now, where Shanks is, where the flashback is a Loki flashback, right? Again, spoilers, massive spoilers for current events in the manga, but I have to talk about this for this character. Um, we're in a Loki flashback right now, and the flashback is like, I think, taking place around like, oh god, I forget, but it's somewhere around 10 to 15 years ago for right now. I think 13 years ago, which again, Luffy met Shanks 10 years ago, or 12 years ago now, kind of time skip. So everything that's happening with Shanks right now is right before he met Luffy. So there's a lot of feats that this Shanks is kind of pulling off that kind of makes me think he's higher than I usually would have. Because before this, I would probably put him at first commander level, because it was told to us a while ago that he had a 1 billion berry bounty at this point, which is kind of similar to Katakuri and stuff. I know you can't really bounty scale and stuff, but I think 10 years ago, him being at first commander level kind of makes sense. The only thing about that, though, is like he had already fought Mihawk, I think, at this point, and you know, Whitebeard stated that like those fights like kind of were fresh in his mind, and he remembered those as kind of like legendary fights. Would a fight between like, two first commander level characters be really legendary? I don't think so. I think honestly at this point, this Shanks probably didn't get okay. This also kind of goes into just how strong I think characters are nowadays, or like I think the One Piece world is a bit stronger. Like the how strong the top tiers are, how strong Shanks might be, it probably might even be beyond what I previously thought. Which would I think this Shanks is honestly probably stronger than I thought at this point. Now, do I think this Shanks is just Yonko level? I don't know. I think he definitely got stronger since like over the 10 years. There's no way, because it wasn't even a Yonko yet. But again, for Whitebeard to say those fights were like legendary fights, he was talking to Shanks, in the post Enies Lobby Saga arc, and for him to fight Mihawk, I think at the very least, I would probably put them around Admiral, maybe low Admiral. I think for to be safe, I think this old Shanks, because the Shanks also is confirmed now to have advanced Kakurosaki too. So I think putting him around first commander level, like low Admiral level, I mean, is I think a safe bet, because then he still has room to go. And I honestly think Shanks is a character that could be in Pirate King tier. And honestly, he probably is that strong, because like there's a pretty clear gap between Shanks and the other Yonko, because like Kaido couldn't even one-shot Law, Big Mom couldn't one-shot Law, like Law took a Thunder Bagra, which he probably really should have been one-shot by that, but you know, Wano was ass, so we're not gonna we'll get into Wano when we get there. Man, Wano tier list might just turn into mini rants, so let's let everyone know that right now. But yeah, Kaido couldn't one-shot Law with his Thunder Bagra. Big Mom couldn't one-shot Kid either, and Kaido couldn't one-shot Kid either, because Kid was on the roof. But Shanks did. Shanks one-shot him. So I think Shanks is definitely a good bit stronger than Kaido and Big Mom. So I think Shanks being this 10 years ago, 12 years ago, Shanks being low admiral to admiral, I think is fine. Until we get more, we might get more information on this version of Shanks, literally in this flashback, like again. So yeah. So again, I'm recording this about like the spoilers for 11th for 1170 are like out. So I know what happens in that chapter, but the chapter isn't officially out. So that's kind of the time I'm recording this, because I don't know when this video is going up. But yeah, low admiral I think is fine for now. But then we gotta get into his into his crew. So we have Ben Beckman at this time. Who the fuck even knows? Because we don't even know where Ben Beckman is at this point in the story. Some people like highball the fuck out of him being like relative, like kind of like kind of how Rayleigh was to Roger, kind of like relative, just a bit below, like a Zoro to Luffy kind of deal. I don't think it's like that though. I think Ben Beckman is probably the strongest out of like the. If you had to ask me who's the strongest first commander out of like the original Yonko, like Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido, Shanks, it's Ben Beckman. I think. I'd personally say that. And I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's a pretty cold comment take. So yeah, if I think that, so I think Ben Beckman at this point in the series, because I think he definitely got stronger. I don't even think this version of Ben Beckman would probably even be commander level, maybe like a low commander level, but again, I don't think he's really as strong. I don't think he's like right behind Shanks. Again, we can't really scale this Ben Beckman because we don't really know how strong, how strong he was previously. Again, I don't think he's as strong as Ben Beckman. I mean, as strong as Shanks, at all. Like now, like 10 years, like 12 years ago, I don't think he was as strong as Shanks. Nowadays, like present time in the story, still don't think he's as strong as Shanks. I think he's not even admiral level. I think he is someone who could probably stall an admiral pretty well. Like I think he's around. Like if I had to pick a character that's I think around the strength of Ben Beckman currently, it's Rayleigh, like old Rayleigh. So I think he could probably do what Rayleigh did against Kizaru, like stall him like that. But I don't think he's beating Kizaru like at all. So yeah, I think. That being said, if I'd have current Shanks at like Pirate King, I'd probably have Ben Beckman at first commander level. And what is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4 gaps in a tier. So 1, 2, 3, 4 executive plus. I think. I don't know. I think executive plus at this point could work, though I think more accurately low commander makes a bit more sense. I think at this point, executive just kind of feels a little too low to me. I think even Ben Beckman at this point could probably at least take on, if the captain's like being able to take on admirals, I think he can probably take on like at least commander level characters, right? So yeah, I think that works for these two. At this point, that is my reasoning as to why they're there. You know, we're two characters that we don't really know much about, and we're still getting characters that we don't much about. Lucky Roo at this point. Lucky Roo. No, okay. We haven't seen Lucky Roo fight at all. However, when in chapter 957, when talking about all the Yonko, we got all the Yonko bounties. We're talking about them and bringing up Shanks. His crew was specifically noted. his crew was specifically noted as like strong like characters. Like his crew itself is a very strong crew, and more notable than like Whitebeard's or like Big Mom and Kaido's. So that would imply that Ben Beckman and Lekaru and Yasop are probably stronger characters or like better fighters than their respective other Yonko peers, like Yonko Commander peers. So that being said, I think Lekaru, who is the second like or the third strongest on the crew behind Shanks and Ben Beckman, I think when looking at that character, but again, this is flashbacks for like 10, 12 years ago. He's not obviously not at his like second commander level strength yet, but I would only put him like a tier behind Ben Beckman at this point, because again, this crew is supposed to be more notable and stronger than other Yonko characters. So even 10 years ago, I think him being Executive Plus, like, is fine. Like, these characters have been to the New World many times over, probably already, given what we know. So I think them being this strong can work this long ago. And again, they didn't become the Yonko crew till okay. They didn't become a Yonko crew to 6 years ago. It was 6 years ago from now. Okay. There's a 10-year time skip between them for beginning the flashback to when Luffy starts his journey. So that's 10 years. Then we had a 2-year time skip to current time in One Piece. So Luffy and Shanks met 12 years ago. And Shanks became a Yonko 6 years after that. So that would have been 8 years ago, if my math is correct. I don't know why I'm getting so confused on this. But again, it was around 8 years ago. And I can't remember if it was 6 years after Luffy and Shanks met, or if it was 6 years before current time. Because I think that's two different answers. I think. Maybe I'm not. I don't know why I'm struggling so much on this math of the time. One Piece timeline's weird. I probably pull up the timeline. But anyways, it's multiple years before they become Yonkos. So, like a Yonko tier crew. So, I think them being a bit weaker than their counterparts. I don't think they were at this point as strong as they are now. I think they have to get a lot stronger. Because again, in One Piece, you get stronger from adventuring and stuff. And if Shanks wasn't a Yonko at this point, then he probably had to do some pretty big stuff to get to that point. So again, I think Shanks flashback will be able to get more on those characters and how strong they were at those points. But for now, I think that's pretty accurate of where they are. And Yasop is probably just a tier below Lucky Roo, something like that. I think that works. Yep, look at that. Easy. That makes sense to me. Shanks and his crew. Okay, yeah. And we'll get to actually higher tiers of Shanks, when we get to like Marineford and stuff. So, okay. But for now, we have Higuma, the bandit leader from Goat Kingdom and Fuchsia Village. I mean, this guy has an 8 million berry bounty. But again, so he's not like just some random, I guess. But to be honest, he still kind of is. He leads a group of bandits, but again, he's just kind of trash. He's definitely a lot stronger than Kid Luffy, but again, he's trash. honestly could see Nami beating him. But I can see Higuma beating Nami too in a 1v1. I think it's a high diff fight. But I think at the very least Higuma squinches into like this tier. But again, trash. 8 million berry bounty, so he has a bounty, so he's not like entirely worthless. I think there was a thing that was like the average bounty is like around 3 million. I think. Hold on, I need to fact myself. I need to fact check myself on that. Average bounty in the East Blue is 3 million. Okay, yeah. So average bounty in the East Blue is 3 million. He has an 8 million, so he has an above average bounty. So I think again, you can't really scale too much based off bounties, but again, I think you can kind of look at bounties of like a threat to a government and stuff like that, and you can imply that the 8 million bounty they have to have done something. And I guess if the average bounty is 3 million in the East Blue, having above average bounty I think can be enough to put you in like a rookie level, but just barely. Like he could honestly still lose to the first Nami, who's like the top civilian. He's just the bottom of Loki, I think. Again, Higuma sucks. But yeah, I think that's fair enough. Kobe at the beginning of the series. Again, this Kobe is kind of garbage. Doesn't even have any really good feats. At least like Nami being able to beat up some Fodder Marines. Kobe can't even really do that. Kobe's just kind of like an average guy at the beginning of this series. Even kind of probably weaker than a normal dude at this point. Like, I'm pretty sure he was just a kind of kid. He's like 16 at this point. So if he's just a kid, he had never trained a day in his life and was scared shitless of Alameda and even other random fodder pirates. So yeah, civilian tier is where Kobe goes. Lord of the Coast. Lord of the Coast is weird. I feel like Sea Kings are so weird because like they're so trash. But they're also not trash at the same time. I don't know. It's weird. Like this one is trash. He gets one shot by Luffy at this point, by the beginning of his journey. So it's definitely not in the same tier as Luffy. But I think it's stronger than any character in Luffy. Like I think any character will piss their pants at the Low Coast coming up to them. Like Higuma was just like immediately eaten by it. So I think some being somewhere in the Luffy level is fine. But again, this is like a CK. I guess it's just a really weak CK. Higher. There are a lot stronger beasts in One Piece. So then we get to Alvida. Alvida's really weird. Because she seems pretty trash. Like if you go back and like read, I mean she is trash, but if you go back and read like the beginning of series One Piece, she like has some like you kind of forget how like actually kind of strong Alvida actually is. Hold on, I'm pulling this up real quick. No, that's not. Oh my god. God damn it. I gotta scroll all the way down. Okay. No, we're gonna go before this. if we take a look at this, like Alvida throws her club and just this whole entire like building that they were in, like this kind of like shack, um, gets immediately blown away by Alvida, just immediately destroyed and like crumbled to the ground. So Alvida is like definitely stronger than I think a lot of people give Alvida credit for, which is weird to say, but like Alvida's like I don't know. It's kind of surprising to remember that Alvida can do something like this. You know, at the very early stages of One Piece, like just blow away buildings, like very casually. But again, that's definitely not gonna put her on Q plus. Obviously, she gets one shot by Luffy, similar to how the Sea King did. But is that enough to put Alvida in like the same tier as Sea King? Because they both get one shot very similarly by Luffy, right? Luffy takes the attack and then just Gum Gum pistols and it's over. Knocked out immediately. In the anime, I think she's like flung off the boat, but this is she's just flat out knocked out. In the manga, so and again, I should probably preface this way before, but we are basing these characters off of the manga, not the anime. The anime has a little bit of differences. Characters have like different feats. The context of some things are a little different. So yeah, we're going to base off the manga. But again, you could probably argue that she's here along with Sea King because she gets one shot by Sea King. But I think the characters I'm going to put in rookie level aren't there. And I honestly think that a Sea King, just because of how big it is, at least how Lord Coast is, he could probably easily destroy buildings, maybe multiple buildings. So yeah, not going to really put Alvida too high, but she's kind of hits like the top end of Loki level characters. So yeah. Again, busting up a building isn't really that impressive. One Piece gets to insane levels of strength later on. Like you have. I don't really agree with some of these people, but you have people believing that like some characters get like moved to moon level to like planetary level. I don't really agree with those people who say that. But again, that is just an example of just, you know, you can, if you choose to, scale characters that high, like higher, like top tier characters. So, busting up a building really is not all that in One Piece. So that's gonna only really put you into the lower tiers of One Piece. So, yeah. And after Alvida, we have Alvida in her Slipstep fruit form. Again, I don't think she really gets that much stronger from her being just Slipstep. She doesn't get like any. She loses weight, so she's definitely faster. And attacks can slip off her, so she has better defenses. But I don't think that's gonna be enough to put her up a whole tier. I mean, you could really do it if you want. It'd be like that. Honestly, maybe, because she's already really strong, and now that she has defense and stuff, maybe she is just in that tier. I don't think that works, and that's fine. I think she's just at the bottom of rookie level. I think that, honestly, no, I don't think that works. Because she has a devil fruit, she's faster. She still probably has her overwhelming strength that she had, that she can. Overwhelming strength, I shouldn't say overwhelming, but strength to like bust up a building, like I showed you guys. So, Alvida being at like rookie level, I think makes sense to me. This is the bottom of this list, of this tier. Because again, I'm kind of ordering these. I'm trying to do these in order, every tier in order. So, from the strongest being at like the closest to, like the strongest being this, and then kind of working backwards like that. Like you be the weakest, and then you're the strongest of the tier. So, yeah. Well, then we have Helmeppo. Helmabo, I honestly think is just weaker than Gobi, but you can also do this with this if you want. It's whatever, but Helmabo is just Kobe. It's just the same around Kobe. Kobe punched Helmabo. Well, was it Kobe punch Helmabo or was that in the just a live action? I kind of forget. Well, it's whatever. Again, Kobe and Helmabo are kind of similar. At this point, sorry, at least. Also, this version of Kobe, I don't know why I even have, because they're really the same. I don't really know why I have this on here. But they're just the same thing. Captain Morgan. I think Captain Morgan doesn't immediately get one shot by Luffy. Like I think he like blocks an attack from Luffy. I think, if I'm correct. Let me go check that real quick. Okay, well that's a no-named attack. Just a punch. Morgan's able to block that with his axe. He's able to do this, which is kind of insane. But again, this is kind of similar to like if Alvida can break that building, this is not really that impressive. Gets hit again by Luffy here. And again, Luffy hits him right here too. Punches him here. So he took many attacks from Luffy, but none of them were named attacks. They were just kind of base punches from him. And he also gets one shot by Zoro here. And this Zoro is also a Zoro who's been starving for like 2 weeks. So I don't think Axian is really that. Alright. That all being said, I think Captain Morgan, yeah, I think this is fine. This works. Now we go on to Buggy. Buggy, I think, is a step above all of these characters, just because he takes multiple attacks from Luffy, and I think even more named attacks from Luffy. But again, still really not that strong. Kind of is very clearly weaker than Luffy. The only thing that gives Luffy any trouble is just chopped up fruit. But like his attacks don't really hurt Luffy too much. Besides, his knives. Obviously, Luffy's kind of vulnerable to knives and like slashing attacks. But at the end of the day, Buggy, like Luffy, had like kind of a limited fight against Buggy, whether like that difficult for him compared to the other fights that he'd get into in the East Blue. So yeah, definitely not really that strong, but definitely the strongest enemy, definitely stronger than Alvida and Morgan, especially because he's able to tank his own Buggy Ball, which his Buggy Ball blew up like multiple buildings, a whole like block of Orange Town, which is definitely better than Alvida's like throwing her like spiked club at a building and breaking it with her feet. So like Buggy could probably just tank that shit and kind of walk away from it fine, because that's what he did to get his Buggy Wall, and Luffy beats the shit out of him. So yeah. Then we get into Moroji and Oji. I forget how to pronounce his name. He also kind of sucks. Yeah, he's able to like fight in the at the very least in the cover Buggy cover story. He's able to fight like fist fight Kabaji,
um, for like whoever takes over the crew, I think. So, and that's like a pretty even fight. Um, so he's not terribly, at least like he's just around Kabaji, and they both are trash. um, they probably both would lose to Alvida because I don't really have any better feats than that. Like Kabaji fought Zoro, but again that was like a really injured Zoro, and Zoro even injured himself even more in that fight, and still won in like a one shot. So yeah, Kabaji sucks. They both suck. So they go in here. But yeah. Now we get to our first character that also would go into, I think, Rookie Plus, besides the Monster Trio, Koro. Koro was an opponent that definitely is, I think, the first opponent that gave Luffy even a bit of trouble. Even more so than Buggy did. And Koro was the first kind of opponent to like pretty get some pretty good hits on Luffy. Compared to everyone else, where everyone else was getting like one shot or taken care of pretty easily. Koro was not only able to like keep up with Luffy and like even was so fast that Luffy could had a bit of trouble keeping up with him with his like cat dash ability or whatever it's called. But again, Luffy still didn't have that difficult a time taking him out. But it even took a few, like, Koro was even able to dodge a few attacks. Like, the Gum Gum Pistol, like, was one-shotting characters like Alvida and stuff, and they just got hit by that. But, like, Koro's, like, just dodged that shit. Like, it was nothing. And Luffy had to, like, hold him down and then use Gum Gum Bell on him to take him out. So, yeah, I think Koro being in Rookie Plus, probably the lower end of Rookie Plus, makes sense to me. Django, Django is another weird character. Django, it's kind of his only real good thing is his hypnotism. Other than that, he kind of sucks. He's definitely stronger than like someone like say like Usopp or something. Because he also has a feat where he is able to like chop down like multiple trees at once with his weapons. But that's like literally the best thing. That's the best thing he has. Other than that, he kind of really doesn't have anything going for him. So he'd probably go behind like Alvida at this point because he doesn't really have anything to put him above Alvida. But no feat, pretty much at all. So yeah. Then we have these two. Kind of forget the names. I know one's like Bochi or something. Which is like this one. These two actually gave Zoro a pretty decent, like both of them at once gave Zoro a pretty like somewhat decent fight. Again, Zoro was only using one sword, so he wasn't really going all out against these guys. And once he did, I think he is pretty much a wrap. But again, these two together, at least, a keyword together, they teamed up on Zoro. Were able to give him a good fight. Somewhat, and Zoro was using one sword, so it's not like the most impressive thing in the world. So I think them being in at least rookie level, like a tier below Zoro, I think makes sense. And also Zoro. Now he did. I don't have Hypnotize, but Hypnotize is also able to break like a cliff side, like a small cliff side, which is impressive. At least for this stage piece, but like again, not still end up getting like one shot by Zoro. Was he used all three of his swords on Onigiri? But again, probably the most at that point, I think was the most actually struggle we've seen Zoro go through when he was because he wasn't even injured at the very least when he fought these two. I think that both puts them both well above Kabaji, who struggled and lost really badly to a Zoro who was injured and then injured himself. So yeah. Yosaku and Johnny, I think. These two are ass. These guys are not strong at all. They're bounty hunters. I don't even know, to be honest, how the fuck are these guys bounty hunters? Like, they are, like, ass. The reason why they're ass is because full body off screens both of them. And full body also is ass. He's, like, around, Django's level. Django and, Django and full body are pretty equivalent if you go by their, like, Django and full body's cover story, where Django becomes a Marine, and full body kind of loses his rank and has to kind of restart. Both of them are they are both ass, and this character somehow off screens these two, so they somehow fall into the civilian tier. I really don't understand how the bounty hunters, like, what fucking people they're going after. They can defeat. I guess if it's two of them, then maybe they can take on, like, some of the characters in these tier, which have bounties. Like they can probably both of these characters could probably take out someone like Higuma, who has an 8 million berry bounty. So I guess that makes sense. But I don't know. They're just so fucking weak. Like, they're ass. Now we have Patty and Carne. I don't know if it's Carne. These two are pretty strong. That's a pretty good. Not the best feats. But I honestly would put them above Almeida, both of them. But again, they're not anywhere. Like, Sanji was definitely way stronger than both of them. But Patty's definitely way stronger than Django, I think, at this point. Not Django, full like Iron Body. Both of them probably are. But they both of them are definitely not really close to Sanji, or maybe even killable. Like, they're scared shitless of fucking Don Krieg. When it's rumored that he's gonna be coming to the Gratier. So they're definitely a good few weaker, and they couldn't really handle much of anything in the fight against Pearl, Ging, and Gratier, and Don Krieg. That was mostly Sanji and Luffy, really. They didn't really do much of really anything in that fight, because they couldn't. Speaking of, we got Zeph. Zeph, I think, is also a character that goes in Rookie Plus, but just lower. Only because, just going based off of rumors from how strong he was, in his prime, compared to now, he was also able to, like, kick so hard that he made a gust of wind that was able to, like, stop and put out, like, flaming bullets or something like that. Which people around him was not impressive. It even made someone say that maybe he still has gotten some of his power. But he's definitely, he's missing a leg. He's old, so he's definitely a lot weaker than his prime. Though I still think he's not so weak that I don't think Sanji would, like, low diff him or anything like that. So I think going at the lowest end of Wiki Plus makes sense. I think he could probably beat Bucky, a Sea King. Like, I think he could beat any of the characters from Wiki Plus. So yeah. Ging actually gave Sanji a really good fight. You might even be able to argue that he's stronger than Sanji, though I would say to that, because Ging honestly looked a little bit more impressive in their little skirmish that they had in the Gratier. But to that, I would say that Sanji was heavily injured due to Pearl, and him not wanting to attack the pirates because he didn't want them to kill Zeph, which let Sanji kind of give up his body and kind of let himself get injured a bunch, which kind of affected how well he could perform against Ging. So I would still say Sanji is stronger than Ging, but Sting is no slouch at this point in the story, at least. Nowadays he sucks ass, but like Ging at this point is definitely like powerful enough to even like fight one of the members of the Monster, Sanji. And Sanji, Sanji was also no slouch at this time either. He was one-shotting characters like Moo, like giant sea beasts, and like he's able to like do a kick, perform a kick so powerful that it stopped the their little like submarine ship that they took out against the Krieg pirates. It was thrown back at the Baratie. It was going to crash into it, but Sanji was able to kick it away and stop it from doing that, which is impressive. Sanji is no slouch in the game. He was able to perform really well against him, even an injured Sanji. I think means he should go 1K plus. The strongest side character that we've seen so far on the list. Besides these guys don't really count right now. Then we got to Don Krieg himself. Don Krieg definitely even stronger than that.
I'd honestly argue Don Krieg. Don Krieg could be stronger than Sanji right now. At least Baratie Sanji. Just because Luffy's opponents are usually stronger than his subordinates. Sanji wasn't technically a subordinate at this point. But I honestly don't think, especially since how much Sanji struggled against Ging, I think he could beat Ging. But Sanji really struggled against Ging, and I think if you asked Ging if he could try to beat Don Krieg, he definitely couldn't. And I also don't think Don Krieg would have anyone in his crew that would be stronger than him because of his ego and stuff. So, I think Don Krieg could probably beat Baratie Sanji in like a high difficulty fight. Right? Because even Luffy at this point, I'd honestly argue Luffy seems like Luffy in the Don Krieg fight. If you look how battered and beat up Luffy was compared to like someone like the Arlong fight, Luffy seems like he struggled more against Don Krieg. I'll be honest. I'm not saying Don Krieg is stronger than Arlong or anything like that. I think Don Krieg and how he fights and like his armor and his artillery and his like weapons and stuff was just a harder matchup for Luffy than maybe even Arlong was. So he just got damaged more. But again, so if Luffy had a pretty hard time defeating Don Krieg, I think Sanji would probably end up losing. Now again, it's not that big of a gap to where like I think he gets like low mid diff. I think it'd honestly be extreme diff between Sanji and Don Krieg. It could go either way, but I think I get the edge Don Krieg here. I think Zoro could still beat Don Krieg though. The only thing is the armor might be hard to cut because I don't know if Zoro is strong enough to cut his armor. But I think for a tier list, that's really matchup based, and I'm kind of going over overall strength, like their strength compared to the world. I think their strength to the world is better than Don Krieg's. Pearl honestly is like able to damage Sanji a bunch, but Ging like almost like one shot. Pearl almost one shot. But like took out his like armor really fast and like one hit. So he's able to do damage Sanji a bunch and beat him up. Again, Sanji wasn't really trying to dodge or even really fight Pearl that much. He was just trying to, because again, Zeph didn't want to get Zeph killed or the Baratie destroyed. So yeah. Pearl is in rookie tier, but definitely not in rookie plus because those characters are just a lot stronger. As you see with Ging, pretty much outclassing him in every way. Kurina, Kurina is able to fight
like Zoro at the kid Zoro and beat him basically every time. And this Zoro was like lifting up, like Kid Zoro was like lifting up boulders and stuff, so it's not like trash. But again, she's just a kid, like a little kid at this point, and we don't really know how strong she really is for beating up a kid Zoro a bunch. We don't even know how difficult they were for her, and she also fell down a fell down a flight of stairs and died. So I don't know. It doesn't really make any fucking sense, really. When you think about it, but I think at the very least, I can see her beating some of these characters in low-key tier at the very least. Like Zoro's lifting up boulders. That's definitely stronger than something a normal civilian can do, right? In the One Piece world, and if she's beating a character, someone who could do that, then I think she can go at least a tier above, normal civilians. But I'm not gonna really put her any higher than that because she really seen nothing, and she also fell down a flight of stairs and died, which is, I think, one of the stupidest deaths in One Piece. And which kind of sucks as a flashback for Zoro. That's such an important character for Zoro, but it's just so embarrassing. It's just it's like more funny than anything. It's like one of the most. It's like anytime I read One Piece and I read through that flashback, I do the I should speed face. Like I'm trying not to laugh. I shouldn't laugh. It's supposed to be sad. But she fell down the flight of stairs. Really? That's how she died? It's just it's dumb. It's really dumb. But yeah. Oh, you know what? Oh, we'll get to the characters when we get to the fights. Because now we got Mihawk. Okay. For Mihawk, usually I wait like Shanks. I didn't put like prime like Shanks right now on the list, even though we see Shanks. Because I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for when like we actually see them do something in the story, to put them up on the list. I'm not gonna do that for Mihawk because honestly, we might not see Mihawk until he fights Zoro, which is embarrassing. I mean, we've seen him at Marineford, but even Marineford wasn't his full power. So I'm just gonna put Mihawk on the list right now, just because I want to. We have the version of Mihawk here. We have Mihawk using the small knife, Mihawk pulling out Yoru against Zoro, and then we have, just straight up full power Mihawk. So Mihawk using the knife. Honestly, should go. It's definitely way stronger than even Zoro. Was at this point. Like Zoro, like he was still like negativing Zoro with this pocket knife. Like it really wasn't close. It's just how strong do you think? What is the strongest character like? Do you think Mihawk can do this against? And honestly, it's pretty high. I honestly would say Mihawk with the pocket knife, just because of how strong Mihawk is. Like actually, Mihawk can probably beat a surprising amount of characters with just his pocket knife. Like actually, I'd put him here, honestly. And with his actual sword, Yoru. To be honest, how strong he was here is also kind of how I see him, and how like the level of strength he was using here is also the level of strength he was using in Marineford. Like, cause he's still holding back in Marineford. I think it's pretty clear, pretty evident. I know he likes to get clowned on for how his stuff in Marineford, and honestly, that's fair. Cause honestly, none of it's really impressive, really at all. But that's why I think he was just holding back. In Marineford, because yes, I am someone who thinks Mihawk is stronger than Shanks, just because it's really just mostly a Zoro's dream thing, and I think if Zoro's whole goal is to beat Mihawk, and he isn't even the world's strongest swordsman, it's just so lame. It's like, what? It's like, really? That, like, 20 years, like 30 years of build up for Zoro's dream, and it's just Mihawk is even the strongest, most strongest swordsman is actually Shanks. It's embarrassing. So yeah, I think Mihawk with this, with Mihawk pulling out the sword. This is kind of the level I think I see him at Marineford. Like this is the level of strength he was using. But honestly, he wasn't using much hockey. Probably maybe observation movement hockey. He definitely wasn't using advanced conquest hockey, to which I definitely think he has. If he doesn't have it, I'll be shocked. But I definitely think he has it. It's basically, in my eyes, kind of confirmed that he has it if Sora has it. And all that being said, I think Mihawk is actually there. Honestly, Mihawk, if Shanks is as strong as I think he kind of is, then Mihawk could honestly be here. But for now, I think I'm going to put him here. Just for now. I think when we come back to Shanks and come back to Mihawk, like later on, maybe Marineford or somewhere down in post time skip, I think we can maybe move up Mihawk to like here. But honestly, he could very well be here. It just depends. So I think being safe and just putting Mihawk at definitely Yonko level makes sense. Now we have the Arlong Pirates. Chu is someone who gets beat up by Usopp. So I think he's definitely a tier below the rest of the crew, but he's still pretty strong. Now he was able to do that water cannon thing that blew up like a whole part of a forest. How strong do I think he is though? Honestly, he's probably not even stronger than. It's weird because like I don't even think he's much stronger than Buggy. Because Buggy was at least able to tank like his Buggy Ball, and his Buggy Ball is definitely stronger than like Usopp's like exploding stars and stuff. Like Luffy's exploding stars are not busting up like entire blocks. To be honest, if we should have gave like pre-time skip Usopp like Buggy balls. Imagine like East Blue Usopp with hit like with Buggy balls. He's a menace. Cause yeah, Buggy was able to tank it, so it's not gonna really hurt a lot of the stronger characters. But like still, the destructive capacity Usopp would have at that point would be crazy. So yeah, honestly, Chu kind of goes like here in my eyes, though. But not much stronger, because again, he gets beat up by Usopp, and Usopp's AP is not really that high at this point. Usopp and Nami to me are like glass cannon characters, but Usopp even less so. So yeah. But then we have Kurobi. Kurobi fights Sanji and gives Sanji a pretty decent fight. Though honestly, would say he's probably even weaker than someone like Jang, maybe even Koro, because like Sanji was most of the time fighting Kurobi, he was trying to help like Luffy, and Kurobi was just kind of stopping him, and and then Kurobi even took Sanji under the water, and fishermen are stronger underwater, and then Sanji was even getting beat up underwater, but still was able to like definitely grab him and blow air to his lungs, suffocating him. So they both got out of the water, and then Sanji proceeded to just combo him and beat him up, and basically take him out. So I think even Sanji is a good bit stronger than him. So I would, but Kurobi's strong enough to be in the same tier. So I'd put him right there. Now, I don't think I could probably see Zeph beating him, so I put him like that. But Zeph would have a much harder time against Kroby. And if Kroby took Zeph on the water, I think Zeph is fucked. Archon is just right there alongside Kroby. Not much Drex, but I guess right there, to be honest. Gets beat up by a weakened Zoro. Speaking of which, we should probably go over the characters here. Now, I did say at the beginning of this video that the Straw Hats get stronger over time, and how I kind of attributed it to RPG and leveling up. Like, they get through hard fights and they get the XP and the level up. That's how I kind of see One Piece, and kind of how I think Oda kind of views his characters getting stronger over time. Especially when you have like characters like eating food and then gaining health, like being an actual thing in One Piece. Like Luffy regaining energy, like Egghead by just eating a bunch of getting health. It's kind of very much like an RPG. Like some RPGs, you just eat like a hamburger and you gain HP or mana or whatever. So that's kind of how I see it. Does it make too much sense? No, but a lot of things in One Piece don't make sense. I mean, it also would explain drinking milk and getting like bone structure. So it's like, like the healing bones. It's it's just kind of how I see One Piece. I kind of see One Piece as like how functioning, like their characters functioning like an RPG. So I would even say like Luffy and Sanji get even stronger after the Baratie. I don't have a post Baratie's Luffy on here, but I do have a Sanji, and Sanji would be a bit stronger. Also would have a Zoro. Like I think also Zoro would have got stronger after the Mihawk fight too. But he didn't get a chance to heal. He was injured. Like I think if Zoro after the Baratie fight was able to just healed up and was fine, he would even be stronger than this Zoro. But he didn't really get that chance. He was injured. He was nerfed basically on the park. Speaking of which, so this is where I'd have posts like Baratie, Sanji, and this Zoro is nerfed and injured, but even when nerfed and injured, still was able to take out Hot Hunter just really hard. Even nerfed and injured was able to scare all along and be like, how the fuck is it? Like, what monster is this? How is he alive with an injury like this? And Arlong was like, I cannot let this human stay alive. Like, I just can't. Like, this human's fucking crazy. So yeah. So Zoro, I think even injured and even using like 2 random swords, not his sword that we started off with, I think he's still interesting. Now we have Arlong, and Arlong I think obviously just goes right there. Yeah, Arlong is very strong. Gave Luffy a really hard fight. Supposedly the hardest fight in for Luffy in the East Blue. But he wins at least. And we also know in a flashback, I think it was the Kuma flashback, I think, or something like that. Spoilers again, by the way, but I mean, we see Luffy training before he starts out on his journey, and he uses the Gum Gum Battle Axe, and he says and he's like, oh yeah, the Gum Gum Battle Axe is a really strong move. That's a finisher for sure. So Luffy considers the Battle Axe to be a finisher for really strong opponents. Even says he uses it for really strong opponents. I don't think he uses the Battle Axe at any point except for against Arlong. So Arlong definitely Luffy considers Arlong a very strong opponent, probably more so strong than Don Krieg and Koro and the other opponents he faced in the East Blue. Which for me, put him that puts Arlong definitely stronger than all of them. Even though I think Don Krieg visually looked like he gave Luffy a harder fight. He's just but yeah. Now we have Tashigi. Tashigi kind of doesn't really have any feet. He's kind of got feet. He's kind of got like kind of diffed by Zoro. But Zoro at the point when Zoro fought Tashigi, to be fair, also was stronger because he just came back from fighting on All Out Park, so I think the characters are even stronger than that. Honestly. So now we'd actually wait. Hold on. I actually get to tier those characters before I get to see. I think it's there, by the way. Just, yeah, there because I think Luffy at the point is here. I don't know. You might be like, whoa, CP9 level, but I think Luffy and Zoro and Sanji don't get like massive power. Like none of the Shrouds get massive power ups except for like Nami, until Water 7 Enies Lobby. Like Nami's the only one who gets a true power up with the climate attack. No one else gets a power up basically until Water 7 Enies Lobby. So there's like I do think they get stronger over time between island and island, but I don't think it's that much stronger to the point where CP9 is like so far above like them at the beginning of the story. So I think already Luffy is in that tier. Same with where is he? Zoro at this point. And same with Sanji. So yes, after like okay, Arlong does like Sanji fights Arlong for like a second, like he gets hit by him, and Sanji's like, "Whoa, what? Like this?" Or like he couldn't believe how strong Arlong was with shotgun. But again, that Sanji's also just got done fighting Kurobi and was injured. He almost suffocated. He was like spitting up blood because he couldn't breathe. He was being held under water for so long. But yeah. That being said, I don't think that Sanji and Arlong Park could beat Arlong, but I think he could give Arlong a really good fight. And again, I think the Shrouds do get a bit stronger over time after every like big arc, that they fight and have good like hard fights in. So I think Sanji is just stronger than his Arlong Park self. Again, because again, it's stated in the series that they get stronger from island to island to island. So you know. Smoker is actually even a tier above the rest of the strats, which is pretty like pretty obvious. The strats couldn't really like even Luffy couldn't really handle Smoker. Sanji couldn't either. They couldn't really handle Smoker at this point. Mostly because Logia different, but even without the Logia, I think Smoker was just in general just stronger than Luffy was at this point by a good bit. Like Smoker didn't get really any notable power-ups; he just got stronger over the course of the entire pre-time skip. But again, no noticeable new power-ups. And by Marineford, he's kind of like fighting. He was able to keep up and even kind of win a scuffle against like a gear second Luffy at Marineford, which is a much stronger Luffy than when he first encountered Luffy in Logtown. Again, Luffy maybe could have done a lot better in that fight if he could actually hit Smoker. But again, I think honestly Smoker could probably still even then win that fight, even if Luffy could hit him. But Luffy could also argue if he could hit Smoker, could also beat Smoker at Marineford. But all that being said, if Smoker didn't get any massive power-ups to that point, but still like still was strong enough to like keep up with a gear second Luffy, didn't get like absolutely speed blitzed by him, and was able to tag him and like knock him down, then I think Marineford Smoker is definitely stronger than when Smoker first appeared. But I don't think the gap is like so crazy that he's like multiple tiers below. So I would already from the jump put Smoker at like a CP9 plus level, coming into his character introduction. But honestly, I think that's that. I think that's the entire East Blue. I don't think there is any other character. I think that's it. I think that is the East Blue Saga as our current tier list for all the characters in the East Blue. Yeah, I wonder how long this recording is. because it must be long because I put out a video that was 90 minutes in Nintendo music, so this video is well over an hour long of me just yapping about the East Blue. And if the East Blue Saga is an hour long of yapping about power scaling, then power scaling One Piece, then some other arcs are gonna be fucking really long, like Marineford. Especially because with arcs, I'm gonna be like, there's gonna be some arcs where I'm like going over multiple arcs. The Alabasta Saga, which I'm gonna do next, is multiple arcs, and then Alabasta's a pretty long one in itself, so it's got a lot of characters that I have to go over. Then we got Skypiea and what is it? I don't know. I'm excited for it though. I like yapping about One Piece. I like power scaling One Piece. I like it a lot, as you can tell. But so yeah, this is my tier list for the East Blue Saga, from your weakest character, Kid Luffy, all the way up to your strongest character, Mihawk. So yeah, and next time we'll get into the Alabasta arc of the East Blue, and I'm excited for that. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, the Alabasta video. So please, hopefully you guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, enjoyed me listening to me fucking yap to myself about these characters. Hopefully you guys watch the next one. Yeah, peace.